What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh, and today what we're going to be talking about are the few items that I have added to my Lexus GX460, as well as kind of run through the preparation list and the things that I take with me when I go on a desert trip. Okay, so if you guys are new here, I appreciate you stopping by today. If this is your first video, welcome to the channel. My name is Josh. I already said that. But what I do here is a lot of stuff. I build a bunch of different vehicles. I go on adventures. I throw in some photography stuff, the stuff that I'm passionate about. And it's really a hodgepodge of a channel. So I appreciate you for stopping by. If you like what you see today and you want to see more, you can please check the channel. At the end of this video will be a playlist. You can watch through that or just kind of see some of the other stuff that I'm into. Also, I want to take a moment to thank the sponsor of today's video. In every video you see here on the channel that has to do with vehicles, that is Adventure Rig Shop. AdventureRigShop.com is where you'll be able to find pretty much every single thing that I have on my GX460. It is listed on their site. I will put the link in the description for Adventure Rig Shop, as well as a code for you to use at checkout to save yourself 5%. Okay, now that we've paid the bills, let's talk about the couple of items that I have done since the last time I did a video on the GX460. Now, I don't want to go through all the stuff that I've done to the GX460. There are several videos on the channel. I will put the playlist at the end of this video so you can stick around and watch through some of the other modifications that I've made. I just really want to focus on the things that I've done since I've got the vehicle to Tucson. It was in Ohio. Obviously, I drove it all the way out here, and there are some items that I needed to get situated and get prepared for the type of traveling and adventuring and exploring and climbing and all the stuff that I do out here on the West Coast. All right, so the very first thing I did when I got out to Tucson was I knew I needed some additional storage. With the Dometic refrigerator that I have sitting on the Dobinson drawer system, it takes up a lot of the rear hatch space. And then beside my Dobinson drawer system, beside my Dometic refrigerator, on my Dobinson drawer system, I have either one 5-gallon water tank or I have two. Now, if I'm just going out solo for a night, I'll generally just take a single 5-gallon water tank. But because I am going on this next trip out to Vegas to climb in the Red Rocks, I'm going to take two 5-gallon water tanks. So generally, I just carry one, but I'm going to need a little bit more water. I'm going to be out there for longer. It's a total of a 3-day trip. So I will be carrying an additional water jug. Now, the water jugs I use, I will put the link in the description. They're from Amazon. They're the Scepter jerry cans. They're bomb-proof. I have 4 of them in my van, 5 of them in my van that I use for my water in my van. And then I always have one in the GX, and I always carry a couple in the Outback Wilderness, again, depending upon what it is that I'm doing. But for this trip, I am going to be requiring a little bit more water, so I'm taking that as well as the water port. So I have the water port day tank. I have had this thing for 5 years, I believe, and I will put the link in right up here if you want to watch it now, or you can watch it at the end of this video about my experience with the water port. This is the same water port. It has the same everything on it. It has all the same attachments. Everything on it is original, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. And it's performed flawlessly since I've gotten it. So I will be putting that up top because it's really nice to be able to just clean yourself off, especially after a day of hot sun, climbing multi-pitch routes in Vegas. I'm going to be nasty. So I'm going to want to spray myself off, but also just doing dishes. It's just a super handy thing to have, having pressurized water when you're traveling or camping. If you have the opportunity to do it, I would definitely get some type of pressurized water system. It doesn't have to be the water port. There are plenty of them out there. But for me, this is something that works really well. And because it has a mount for my Prinsu roof rack, I'm able to put this on my roof. So that's what I'm going to do after I'm done with this video today. I'm going to put the water tank on top of my Prinsu rack, get it all situated, so before I leave, all I have to do is fill it up with air once I get to the spot when I want to use it, use the water, and then I'll replenish it as I go. The next thing that's really obvious, if you're familiar with the vehicle or you're familiar with the channel at all, I put a Rome 83-liter adventure case on top of the Prinsu roof rack with the Rome rugged mounts. I will put the link in the description for those as well. They are also from Adventure Rig Shop. And the reason I did that is because that's the extra storage I was talking about. It's really nice to have a roof mounted box, and that's generally where I'm going to keep like all the things that I do not need except for one time a day or less than that. That's kind of how that's how I look at my adventure vehicles, is where I put stuff on the roof that I'm not going to need multiple times a day, because obviously you don't want to have to get up there, open up the box, drag everything out of the box to get the things that you need more than one time a day. So what goes in my roam case? Well, for me, put my sleeping pad in there. And what I use for a sleeping pad is something I went over in my previous video about my winter camping loadout. I will link that up here so you can take a look at that. I don't know if I always forget which one it is, but it's one of these corners. You'll see it. And that's my winter camping loadout video where I go over why I use the X-Ped. The X-Ped is an inflatable air mat. It's absolutely awesome. There are probably cheaper ones out there. I will put the link in the description for the one that I have if you're interested in it. Another reason I use the X-Ped is because if I am not sleeping in a tent, this trip I will be, I can put the X-Ped in the rear hatch area, lay the passenger back seat down, and I can sleep right there, and I'm fully, I just don't even have to worry about a tent. But I will have my single man REI tent. I will have my pop-up fire pit. If you guys don't have a pop-up fire pit, I totally get why you probably wouldn't, but take a look at pop-up fire pit. I'll put the link in the description. It's the best way to have a campfire, just because you can put your feet underneath it. You can put it anywhere. You're not relying on some crappy, terribly built fire pit at a campsite that you pull up to. It's kind of it's an extra thing that you definitely don't need, but I always carry it with me, so that will be up there as well. I will have my first aid kit, should probably be in the car, but I'm going to put that up in the roof just to make some extra space, because there will be two guys, all of our gear, all of our climbing gear, all of our food, all of our water, so I'm going to need to have extra space. So that's kind of, I'm sure there's going to be more, but to save you the boring detail of every item that is in my roam case, that's like the second biggest mod that I've done, or the first biggest mod I've done since I've been here. The water port just being an additional attachment that I'm going to add for this trip, but having some type of up top storage is absolutely, it's unbeatable. You could buy something cheaper than a roam case. Don't get me wrong. I know they're expensive, but it may be something that works for you. It really, really works for me. I absolutely love it, but that doesn't mean everybody has the same cup of tea. They like the same flavor of tea. I don't know, but you get what I'm saying. So that's one of the things that I've done since I've been in Tucson. So another item that I usually always carry with me, but in my most recent trip last week, 2 weeks ago, we went to Death Valley and Alabama Hills, and we were in the van. And I did not bring an axe with me. I always bring an axe with me. Every time I travel, I always have an axe. Just because splitting firewood, it just makes it really simple, really nice. Generally, when you buy firewood on the road, which sucks in the first place, it comes in really big pieces. So to make it last longer, you chop it up into smaller pieces. It makes perfect sense. But I didn't have an axe this time, so I burned through a lot more firewood when we were at camp. I just didn't think about bringing it or throwing it in there. I really should have, but I didn't. But this time, when I leave on this climbing trip, I will be putting a axe on 2 Rhino Rack Stow-It mounts. The only problem is, since the move, I cannot find them. And I'm looking over here because this is like my gear shelf, and this is my gear shed. I don't think I've even introduced the gear shed. Welcome to the gear shed. All my climbing gear, I got a workbench, I can do my YouTube thing. This is basically a shed beside my house. It just happened to be here. I walked in, I said, perfect, this will work perfect. I just need a place to come and do this in silence, in peace and quiet, and I get to have all my gear. Like my mountain bikes are over there, my crash pads are right here, all my climbing ropes and shoes. My gear shed is awesome. I'll do, if somebody comments and they want to see like a walkthrough of my gear shed, I built it myself. It's freaking awesome. I'll be happy to do that. But I can't find my Rhino Rack Stow-Its, so I need to track them down. Hopefully I can find them. I do have a shovel mounted on the top of my roof. If you're new here, you don't know that. If you're not new here, you definitely know that. I may be taking the shovel off and replacing it with the axe if I cannot find my additional set of Rhino Rack Stow-Its. It has been a hectic few weeks ever since we got here. So I'm just trying to get dialed in. You know, when you get to a new place and everything's new and you need to get dialed? Well, that's this process. I keep looking around because it's like there's stuff everywhere behind the camera. You know, I got this big light like shining on my face and it takes up so much space. But I'm really working hard to dial this space in so I can do this more often. And in the summertime, it's going to be really hot. So I probably won't do that here in the summertime. But all right, I went off on a tangent. But the point is, those are the things that I have done to my Lexus GX460 that kind of get it ready for this desert trip that I'm on. It's been fantastic in the rough and rocky roads that I've been going on for the canyon trip. I don't know if you guys watched that video, but I will link that up here. The canyon trip with Altitude Mountain Guides is the same guy that I'm going with on this trip. It's one of my buddies, but he owns a guide service company in Tucson. If you're looking for some adventure, canyoneering, rock climbing, he is an AMGA certified guide, and he would love to take you and your friends or family out for an experience in the mountains. But that's it. I'm going to shut up now. I have to finish packing, get the truck completely figured out. I washed it this morning. She's looking really, really good. And then I'm going to get myself on the road first thing Tuesday morning. So I'll see you on the next one.